Live with CDP, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast live on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Now here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 55, 220th episode today of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles. Give them a call at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme, aka CDP, sent you there as well. And also, their parts and service department is now opened on Saturdays from the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. As well as you can now do pre-orders for the all-electric Silverado and all-electric Cadillac Lyriq as well. Again, check out Barry Cullen website at barrycullen.com or give them a call at 519-824-0210 or drop by at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Again, I want to say thank you to Mark Cullen from Barry Cullen Chevrolet for having enough faith in me and sponsoring Live with CDP Sportscast as well. Guys, today I am looking forward to my guest. I'm just waiting for him to come on. Today's guest is Rod Black. He is currently the host and brand ambassador with NorthStar Bet. And he's also a former longtime broadcaster with TSN and CTV. And he also started out in the 80s covering the original Winnipeg Jets as well. So hopefully I'll be able to talk to Rod a little bit about his career, how he got started up, and how much of an adjustment it was from coming from Winnipeg to the Toronto market back in 1990. Rod's also done play-by-play for the CFL, for the NBA, and he's also been a TV host for the Toronto Raptors as well. And he's covered so many sports like the Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics. And he's covered golf, bowling tournaments, curling, boxing. So he's pretty well done everything in the media industry. And I'm really appreciative of Rod being able to come on today and talk about his career in broadcasting, and also a little bit about NorthStar Bets, brand of NorthStar Gaming. And I'll just put that website on here as well. Guys, you can check out their website, NorthStarBets.ca/responsible gambling. And as we wait for Rod, I'm just going to play a little old clip of Rod, and hopefully he'll be on shortly, guys. But again, I want to say thank you to everybody watching this live on my YouTube channel, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter. And then later on, this podcast will be downloaded to my 17 audio platforms, such as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor FM, etc. So I'm just going to show you an old clip of Rod's from 1986 when he was interviewing Dale Hawerchuk. Just 1 second, guys. I'm just going to put this interview on.
Discipline and keep skating. We just got to get more offense. We just didn't test Vernon enough. And if we're going to win playoff games, got to score goals.
I think the big key is to stop the Hawerchuk line. They're definitely very talented, and they're going to score a lot of goals.
Okay, guys, there's a problem with the video feed. So you know what? We'll just, I'm going to pause it, and we'll try to do it after. So I'm just going to pause this right now. 1 second. It just froze up. Guys, just give me a couple minutes and I will have Rod on, okay? Just a technical difficulty. So we're going to have Rod on just in a couple of minutes. And again, I want to say thank you for your patience. And just 1 second, and we're going to have Rod come on just a minute. So I hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday, December 1st. 2022, which is hard to believe. Only 24 more days to Christmas as well. So as we're waiting, I'm just going to ramble on a little bit about some sports. And are you guys looking forward to the Patriots game tonight too? Patriots and Bills tonight at 8:15 from Gillette Stadium in Boston. And I really think the Patriots are going to win this game. I really do. I think the Bills have some injury issues on the offense and the defense. And I just think Josh Allen's not the same quarterback as he was last year. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a cold game in New England too. It's going to be about 27 degrees tonight in Foxborough, which is just outside of Buffalo. So bear with me, guys. I am going to have Rod on very shortly. And I really appreciate Rod giving me some time to come on today. So, yeah, things sometimes happen with TV and radio, technical difficulties. So we'll just, yeah, I'm just sending him an email now. Yeah. So anybody who's watching right now, again, can catch this podcast show live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter, and later on my audio platforms such as Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor FM, Amazon Music, Tuned In, Stitcher, LinkedIn, Radio Public, etc. Podbean as well. So just give me a minute, and hopefully we'll have Rod come on, and we'll talk a little bit about some sports and his career as well. And like I said, he covered the original Winnipeg Jets back in the 1980s as well. And then he came to Toronto in 1990 and 30 years TSN and stuff like that. And he was voice of the CFL for a long time, along with Dwayne Ford. I thought Rod did a great job on the CFL broadcasts. And he also did some broadcasting for the TSN NBA on TSN. And recently he was a TV host for the Toronto Raptors as well. And he's covered the Toronto Blue Jays too. He was the play-by-play announcer with the Toronto Blue Jays from 99 to 01 with Joe Carter on Rogers Sportsnet when it first launched. And then 2002 to 2009, he called Blue Jays games on TSN alongside Pat Tabler. So I'm going to ask him about his time with the Toronto Blue Jays, calling the games with Pat Tabler and Joe Carter, and also doing the Raptors games and the NBA games on TSN as well. So like I said, this gentleman is a legend in the broadcasting business, and really thankful he could come on today. So just bear with us, and hopefully Rod will be on in a minute or two. Like I said, sometimes technical difficulties do happen in podcasting and radio and TV as well. So just bear with us, and I'll keep going on until Rod can come on as well. Guys, just to let you know, I'm going to be going to the Buffalo Bandits home opener this Saturday night at 7:30 at the KeyBank Center in Buffalo. The Bandits take on the Albany Firewolves, and I'm really looking forward to going to my third ever lacrosse game and my first home opener for the Buffalo Bandits. And I look at Bandits team with Matt Vincent net, John Tavares behind the bench, and of course Dane Smith, lacrosse player for the Buffalo Bisons or Bandits. Guys, just bear with me, and my guest is coming on. And 1 second, we're gonna have him on. 1 second. Good afternoon, Rod. How are you doing? I can see you, but I can't hear you. You might want to turn your mic on. There should be a little microphone button there. I can see you, but I just can't hear you. 1 sec. Okay. Your mic isn't connected, so if you can just get that figured out. Yeah, we'll get it figured out, but I can see you loud and clear and stuff like that. So there should be a microphone button. There should be a microphone button right on where your screen is. It just says on mic mute. I think you got it.
Hello, hello.
We got it. We figured it out.
You think I know, after being in years of television, you think I know how to turn that on, but they're all so different. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm learning about the TV industry and the radio industry every single day. Every day is a new day for me.
Yeah, it is. It is. Every day is a new day. Ever since we never would have done this, a couple of years ago this way, we never would have had Zoom. So I think maybe, if it wasn't for Zoom, we could never have these podcasts. Everybody wouldn't have a podcast. We couldn't do this easily. And it's a good way to communicate. I sometimes think that Zoom may have been responsible for starting the pandemic. I'm not sure, but it is nice to talk to you. Nice to see you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I use StreamYard, which is like Zoom as well. And I was gonna say, when this pandemic struck, that's when I decided I wanted to do my podcast show, and
Nice.
I was getting my TV work with Rogers. So doing this got me through the pandemic for 2 years.
I think this got everybody through the pandemic, and you had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people from afar, and I do think people were missing people. That's why a lot of people, were saying yes and say, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you. Oh, Prime Minister Trudeau, right? Can you join? Yes, I'll join you at 2:00. President Biden, yes, for sure. Can you? I'm kidding, but you know what I mean. Is that I think we certainly learned how to live without human contact for a while, and now I think we're on the other side. We really need human contact. I wish we could actually be in person, and it's nice to get out and actually see people in that. And so it was an interesting 2 years, that's for sure.
And I've also started doing live interviews. And Rod, one thing I've learned about doing live interviews, you have to think on your feet, and it is nice to be around
We
people
are
again.
live, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Oh, and that's, I should tell everybody. And Barry Cullen he's a sponsor?
Yes, they're sponsoring.
I don't know
the
if
show.
anybody knows this. This is so great that everybody who's watching and following today, if you DM me, we will send you a brand new car, courtesy of Barry Cullen. So thank you, Barry. Way to go. What a great sponsor. I get a car for this, don't I?
I'll see what I can do.
I know Barry Cullen's. You got a great dealership. I can't wait to take my new car.
Yeah, they were my.
And I'll get you a car. Might be a
Definitely.
very small one. But we are
Hey,
live.
yes.
I'm nervous.
We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and then I download this to 17 audio platforms after the show's over. So I'm on about 20 platforms right now.
I guess I better not swear.
That's okay too. No worries.
Shit. Oh, man, I didn't mean that.
And I also wanted to say this to you, Rod. Thank you so much for doing this, and congratulations on a great 30-plus year career with TSN. And I've always enjoyed your work with the CFL, especially. I'm an Argonauts fan, and with Dwayne.
Yeah, you're wearing that with pride now. Congratulations,
absolutely.
Another Grey Cup.
Yes, for some reason, when the Argos get to the Grey Cup, they seem to have the knack of winning them.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially when they're considered underdogs, as they were in Ottawa when they won, when Cassius Vaughn took it all the way on that fumble recovery against Calgary, as they were this past Grey Cup against Winnipeg. They were I would say, decisive underdogs. But yeah, I also believe it starts at the top. I really do believe that Pinball Clemens is a winner. If you've ever been around this guy, he knows how to lead. He knows how to win. He did it as a player. He did it as a general manager, as a president. Whatever it is that he does, he could be a cheerleader. And I think he is able to get the best out of players. He's also a great evaluator. He's one of the smartest people, one of the most giving people I know. I love his voice. Yes, right, yes. Great Cup, yes. I love it. Pinball, your house is burning down. No, yes, that's okay. You won $60 million. Yes, right. He's the same guy every single day. I love that guy. And there's something about Pinball Clemens that I think brings out the best in people. It's just not one guy, clearly. But yeah, the Argos did really well this year. And I always enjoy covering them. I want to see what I chatted with Pinball yesterday, as a matter of fact. I hadn't talked to him in a while. And I'm going to have him on my podcast, the Rodcast, coming up next week, I hope. But he's right back to doing charity work, giving back to the community. He had his Christmas with the Clemens last night, which is incredible. The guy is unbelievable. And we chatted about, my greatest love of the game and goal for the game of the Canadian Football League is to see more people in the stands in Toronto, in Vancouver, in the big cities, in Montreal. And I really believe that they got to still market that to the kids out there and get them interested and I know there's people like see you with the CFL and NFL, and I believe you can love both leagues. It's football, but it's different. And it's our game in Canada too. And I just love the CFL brand of football, the way it is. The NFL's adopted, by the way, our game with throwing so much. But I really think that there is an opportunity now to carry over what you have from the Grey Cup and start getting more butts in seats, getting more people to the game, getting more people like you interested in the Toronto Argonauts.
Been an Argos fan since '79, since the days of Exhibition Stadium.
Oh, wow.
And I was at the East Final with my nephew who'd never been to a CFL game or an Argos game in his 25 years. And he
How old
loved
is
it.
he?
He's like
25?
25 years old, and he enjoyed the game. He enjoyed the stadium,
Yeah.
and hopefully he'll come back again next year.
Yeah, you got to make it about the experience. I mean, the game is one thing, but it's about getting there. If you've been to a Raptor game, I'm sure you have. I'm sure your listeners or viewers have. I would argue that going to a Raptor game, you go to, you're going to a party and a basketball game breaks out. That's what it's like. There's a big difference between going to an NBA game, which is stylishly themed towards giving to the audience and making sure that everybody has a good time in a short, tight time frame. I see that in minor league baseball. People go there, especially young kids, and just getting a shirt or being able to see your favorite player. To me, that is so huge. And again, I think that's something. And I know the league's tried many things. They've got to try harder and they've got to try more, because I do believe it is possible to get more people, particularly young people, entertain them, get them to the stadium, make sure it's on a day that is conducive to everybody, even do school days, bring schools in and let these kids see the game and let them follow their local heroes.
Like some of the OHL teams around here are doing school days, which is, I think it's great. So these kids, some of them that can't go during the night can go during the day. And it's just another way of marketing the team.
When I was growing up in Winnipeg, I can tell you that my heroes in sports, obviously, were NHL players and CFL players and baseball players. Basketball wasn't quite as popular. Then I got really into basketball, but they were the big league players. But my real true heroes were the local stars. And I got to see on TV on the Saturday game of the week, I'll never forget, on a channel called CKND. And I watched this guy, Martin Riley, who I just loved the way he played basketball. And he became, an icon in Manitoba, went to the Olympics. He was the Steve Nash before Steve Nash. I would watch some junior hockey stars who ended up in the National Hockey League. The same thing. I played junior football and baseball. I played alongside guys who actually made it to the leagues. And I think that's how it works. I've always said that parents don't drive kids to games. Kids drive parents to games. And if the kid wants to go, the parents will come too. And that's always, I think that mantra should live forever.
I totally agree with you there. And just one last thing about Pinball Clements too and the Argonauts.
Yes, right. Yes.
Well,
It's such a good show. Do I get a card too from Barry Cullen?
I'm trying to get Pinball on, but maybe I don't. Dead right on. But he has the Argonauts organization has been great with me. They invited me to do some media work for them. Nice. Mike Hogan and Chris Bilnovich and Pinball Clements. They had their training camp in Guelph. And hey, Chris, I remember you. And then I said to Mike, you should run for mayor of Canada or mayor of Toronto, or I don't want to get into politics. And then Mike goes, no, I'll be hated if I do that, with a big smile on his face.
Yeah. Or take the pay cut. Take the pay cut. But a great organization, top to bottom. And really that's kind of, you mentioned all the years that I've been in sports at TSN, and I valued those years, and I was very lucky to be part of that. And I'm not done. I haven't retired. I'm still broadcasting and still doing other things for other people and freelance projects. And one of the biggest juice that I get from going to sports events, no matter where it is, if I'm doing stuff in the States, games in the States, doing games here. I'm doing a couple of OJHL games, which I love. The OJ, speaking of juice, the fact that I'm getting a chance to see that again from a grassroots level is so cool to me. I love the fact that it's of game day. And that's what I love about the CFL too. I love game day. There's nothing like sports. You can't write endings, very unpredictable. And there's a purity to it. There's a purity. And we really need our kids and, to learn from these athletes, to not just play at a professional level, but to play sports, to get active, to be involved in a team, so that you're not sedentary, so that you're not always, this is nothing wrong with this thing. It connects all of us, but you can only spend so many hours a day on that. Get outside, whatever it is, play games, play sports. And I love the purity of, that's why people ask me, what, do you have to do this? I'm on Freedom 95, but I would say that the reason I still want to do it is because I just love sports so much. I love the games. I love the athletes. And most of all, I love the stories.
And you're very passionate, and that's what I found my passion a couple years ago through luck, through the Guelph Nighthawks of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. They needed a camera guy.
Love the CEBL. Love
Never,
the CEBL.
Absolutely, and I never did camera work in my life. They showed me what I needed to do, and they're like, "Have you done camera work before?" And I said, "No." And they paid me. They actually paid me for it. They referred me to Rogers TV, and then it led to my podcast. And now I'm working for the University of Guelph Griffin's Griff Vision, doing camera work for older sports teams there. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Mike O'Shea is one of my best pals in sport. I love the guy, and of course, he's got great connections there. I know I have a son. One of my sons goes to Fanshawe in London. He somehow ends up at Guelph every weekend for extracurricular, I was going to say courses, but I think it's parties. I love Guelph. I love the CEBL, the Canadian Elite Basketball League. It goes back to what I said before. I got involved this year helping out some buddies, Nico Carino and Sam Ibrahim and their team, the Scarborough Shooting Stars. I don't know. I did the first game. I broadcast the first game for the Raptors back in '95. And the first Grizzlies home game, and a lot of firsts for me. I really enjoyed that. I was privileged and blessed enough to do that. I can't tell you how much fun I had doing the Shooting Stars games. It was so different. It was, again, going to a party and a basketball game broke out. And the skill level and the talent, I encourage anybody out there, go watch the CEBL. I think that league is going to get bigger and better. And during the summer months, it's perfect. We get such a great talent base that comes through. Jalen Harris was playing in the league. We saw former NBAers and a lot of G leaguers, former youth sports. I still can't get over saying youth sports, but former youth sports stars. Bebe played this year, which was he just was out of the Raptors a few years ago. And then, of course, we had J. Cole playing for the Shooting Stars, which was a fascination. One of the biggest rappers and music stars in the world, and one of the, I can tell you, nicest guys around, and a very decent basketball player. It brought some cred, and it brought some legitimacy, and it brought some eyeballs as well to the CEBL. I love that league. I love it.
I was going to say, I liked it too. Unfortunately, the Guelph franchise relocated to Calgary. Hamilton relocated to Brampton. Winnipeg's
going to get one.
CB Bears, but the National Basketball League of Canada, I got to give them a shout out. They took me in last year as a media member, and even though the league's now down to 4 teams, I really enjoyed the National Basketball League of Canada.
It's got a piece. It's got a very important part. In our landscape. The issue is, of course, it plays right up against the months that the biggest stars are playing, and the beauty of the other league is that it's in months when they're got some time off, and players are trying to find jobs. But they both can coexist. We need that, by the way. We need those leagues. It's just like we need more. We want to create more rising stars, and we have tons of them in the NBA for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons. Obviously, the number one is the Raptors coming on board. The NBA championship was huge, but the fact that kids could watch them, the Raptors and the Grizzlies, get inspired, goes back to what I said before about kids. That's huge. And Vince Carter effect was huge. Everybody loved him. I think Steve Nash's effect was huge. It's not documented enough. The fact that a Canadian boy or girl could watch this shorter, I don't want to say short because he wasn't a shorter player who can jack up threes and had great ball handling and passing skills, make it to the highest level and win 2 NBA MVPs. They go, if he can do it, why can't I? So, we just watched Canada lose another World Cup match today. And those are the kinds of things. And people are going to go, oh, that's so disappointing and heartbreaking. Listen, it took us 36 years to get to the World Cup, right? And we're not that soccer nation yet. We're like hockey, or I would say basketball or baseball or football, but we're getting there. And those smaller leagues, the Canadian professional leagues, the Major League Soccer, more eyeballs, more kids getting inspired to be the next Jonathan David or Alphonso Davies or whoever, or Christine Sinclair. We need that. And you can see how it works. There's a formula to all of this. And the formula is quite simply inspiring youth.
Basketball and baseball in this country, the last, 20 years has really taken off.
Yeah. And again, it's for the reasons obvious. I have an 8-year rule on that stuff. And I say it's, 8 years after something really special happens, you are going to get you're going to get a trove, a rush of young players, reaching their heights. I say that 8 years after the Blue Jays won the World Series. We didn't have a lot of Canadian players. I mean, Rob Butler did win in 93, but we had very few Canadian stars or players in 1993 in the early 90s. Fast forward 8 years after that. Take a look at all the players who, by the way, were inspired by what? Watching the Blue Jays win the World Series. This is not rocket science. The kids were inspired by that. I saw it in skating when, certain years, an Olympics year, you see 8 years later, a young 8-year-old or even younger was watching on television a Kurt Browning, an Elvis Stoico, a Joanny Rachette, and were inspired. I would say that about the Raptors the first year they came on board in 1995 and 96, and they beat the Bulls that season, as a matter of fact. 8 years later, guess what? The 8-year-old was 16. They're starting to go to travel programs. Andrew Wiggins, by the way, was born in 1995. So, fast forward another 8 after that, 16, now he's becoming a rising star. I really believe in that. The inspiration comes from this. I will tell you that 8 years after today, so the second World Cup after this one, Canada automatically qualifies next time as a host country. The next one, you're going to see all those young 7 and 8-year-olds who are watching this World Cup. It's so important. No kid just goes out and just starts kicking a soccer ball or dribbling a basketball or getting in a canoe and paddling or in a rowing or, taking up biathlon, unless they're inspired by television or others who are doing it and getting there. And they go, hey, that's me. I can do that someday. It's huge.
Since we're speaking about soccer right now, I don't know a lot about it, but who's your World Cup pick right now?
Wow. Well, I had Brazil at the beginning. I'm glad I didn't have Denmark. They're out. I still think Argentina is going to make some noise, and I think that first loss is going to inspire them. The next knockout stage is huge. I wouldn't be surprised if the Americans even do something special. I don't think they're going to win the World Cup. I've always been kind of a Netherlands guy. I started following soccer. I'm not an expert by any stretch. I've done some soccer and I followed it. My favorite soccer player is a Dutch player, Ruud van Nistelrooy, from a few years ago. And I love ball movement and talent. I love the way Brazil plays always. There are a lot of teams, left in the, I wouldn't be surprised to see Croatia. I love the way Morocco plays. Do I think they can continue to knock off teams? I'm not sure. That next stage is really hard. Defense plays in. But don't be surprised if Croatia doesn't make it even a little further. The way they play and they stifle opponents. You saw that against Canada. But it's really hard not to look at Brazil. They're very talented.
That's why I just wanted to ask you about that. I played soccer as a kid and I enjoyed it. And I followed the Toronto Blizzard back then at the old exhibition stadium, but I just never really got into it on the TV side. But I do understand it's probably the most popular sport in the world right now.
Well, it is. It's most watched sport in the world globally. And, again, we love those leagues like you have behind you and myself. And, we treat our heroes in football and baseball and basketball and hockey, but you go outside North America, and I've been fortunate to travel around the world in a variety of sporting events or charitable missions. And you go and you see that it's not even, those four sports don't even exist over there. They don't even watch them. I remember going to Africa and I saw a shirt that said Chicago Bulls. A young kid was wearing a shirt saying Chicago Bulls NBA champions 95 or 94, 95. And I'm looking at that and I go, wait a second, they didn't win the NBA championship that year. So those were all the shirts that they had made up, but they had to give away. They don't watch it. And that kid didn't even know, didn't care, actually, just needed a shirt, as a matter of fact. Soccer is definitely huge. Other sports like cricket, I would say even tennis at world basis. Basketball, I would argue, is probably the second most popular sport globally behind soccer, just because of the access to play, and probably also because of the huge affection for the sport in Asian countries, in huge populations, and African countries now. So I would probably play soccer and basketball. One of the things about an NBA player, though, they could probably travel to some of these places nowadays, and they're going to get easily recognized, mostly because most of them are 6'8" and taller.
I was going to ask you this. Have you ever thought about writing a book about your career, or eventually at some point?
It's funny you asked me. I actually am signing a deal, I think this week, to write a book. I'm writing a few books, actually, some subject matter, some other athletes. I'm very interested. I have been in a long time, and my schedule really hasn't permitted. And I'm not that kind of guy to write a book about me. I want to write a book about the stories that I've been around. So I'm still kind of formulating what I want to write about. But I've got, some unbelievable stories of glory and triumph and gory and tragic, and a lot of them very funny, and a lot of them very human. It's the beautiful part of sport. And so I really, I would say probably, late next year, early 2024 is probably when it'll be out. But yeah, I have been talking to some people, and again, I had thought about it before. Now, in the kind of pause that I had after COVID and changing the direction of where my career was going, I think that it's something, that I'd like to do, just because I'd like to tell those stories. And they don't have to be salacious. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, so it would be a big bus, particularly my partner, Leo Rounds. I'd throw him under a train. No, I wouldn't. I love the guy. But I would, I want to tell those stories that we don't get a chance to tell. Frankly, we don't get a chance to tell on television or on radio, because there are other stories, but there's so many great ones. And everybody who's been in our industry, everybody who's been in our business has those. I've just been lucky enough to for 40 years, been around the greatest players, the greatest coaches, the greatest people, greatest coworkers. And I just think there's some stories that are too good not to share.
I was lucky enough to have Jerry Howarth on my podcast.
There she goes. Jerry. I love Jerry. One of the nicest men I have ever met in my life and worked with. I did some games with Jerry on television. Love Jerry Howarth. I miss Jerry Howarth. Miss Tom, certainly. Today, it's funny, Tom Cheek, I saw somewhere on social media that this was the day that the Blue Jays, today was the day that Blue Jays signed Tom Cheek to be their first play-by-play announcer. And I missed him, and I missed the two of them. And it's there's nothing like baseball on radio. It's theater of the mind. And Jerry is one thing about Jerry. Another guy who loves stories, and he tells great ones about the players, and he writes them down, and he's around it so much. And he's just a really good human being, really good person. And I love the way he always gave back to the community. I don't see him as much as I used to. I used to see him. We did quite a few games, Pat Tabler and I, and Jerry would always hitch a ride. I think he was just trying to bum a ride, but I just say, come on. I just loved having him around. He's such a good man, really good man, and a great announcer and a legend. And I know they have Tom Cheek's name up on that level of excellence. I would say I would vote for Jerry Howarth's name to be added there.
Absolutely. And I didn't think I'd have a chance of getting him on my podcast, and he came on like yourself and gave me an hour time and gave me some advice and told some great stories. He even signed a copy of his book for me, and he's even sent me a note about how much I've improved in the last year. And it's like, that really means a lot to somebody like me.
Yeah, he does. He's just that kind of guy. And frankly, again, we're just announcers. We tell scores. I always say I work in the toy department, and sometimes the toy department gets a little broken. Sometimes it gets a little expensive. But for the most part, sports is the toy department. And we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously in it. There are a lot of great serious stories. We should always make sure we chronicle properly and help people learn from. Unfortunately, they happen, but at the same time, it's just sports, and why not? And I like Jerry. I'm really passionate about making sure that next wave of the future broadcasters or writers or cameramen or whatever, that they know that you just got to be yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Just be yourself. I'm pretty much the same goofy guy that I am on television.
And how I'm doing this is the unconventional way, and I'm doing it at 50. And everybody in your industry,
You're a
Roger,
good-looking 50. You're a
thank
good-looking
you.
50.
50 goes quick, man.
There you
50
go.
goes,
50. Wait till you get to 60.
It goes by quick, but everybody's been really supportive and encouraging of me, and I just try to keep learning every day when I do camera work or doing my podcast or digital writing. I'm trying to do as much as I can. I know it's a hard industry, can be harsh at times,
Yeah.
but this is something I have a real passion for, and
Yeah.
it took me almost half a century to figure out what I wanted to do.
There's no instruction booklet on it that actually everybody should follow. I don't think it is. I mean, somebody comes to people came to me early. I was only 18. I was a teenager, younger than that as a broadcasting. But when you get in it, you learn how intoxicating this industry is, how much fun it is, and then how much you have to work your ass off. And, that's one thing I never took for granted. Everybody always said, how much fun loving or whatever, carefree. I think somebody used it, that I am. And I am that way, but I'm not. I'll tell you, I can't tell you how many times and hours and all of us who have ever broadcast at a higher level anywhere or anywhere, whatever level, how much you have to take it serious. And you have to work and the hours and sacrifices. And can't tell you how many kids games I've missed. Can't tell you how many sleepless nights I've had, getting ready for a game the next day or researching or studying or watching games. The beauty now is the computer age is that, I used to have to get discs or tapes, VHS tapes. For those of you who don't know, VHS is this tape, you put it into a machine and then men can't program the machine. It's really kind of awkward. But I used to have them delivered to my door because they would do it at the station. And I was doing another game and let's say I had a CFL game or a boxing match or whatever the next day or a hockey game. And I was doing baseball the night before. I'd have to get that. And I get home around 11 and, I'd put that in and I'd watch that till 1 or 2 and then have that the next day. And again, it's the toy department. Why not? It's sports. It's sports. We just do scores and we try to tell the stories that are most important, and it's important, and it is important, and doesn't matter. 50 is good. You got another 50 years in this left. There you go.
Cross my finger. And what I like doing about this, doing TV work as well, is the fans. I didn't know this until I started doing Rogers games. People don't realize how much work there is in a setup. The producer, the graphics, the audio, the camera operators, everybody has to really make it a team effort. It's truly a team effort for a broadcast too.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I think I loved it so much and do love it is, I played sports at, pretty high levels as a kid, played a lot of different sports. But I think my athletic background, and I played hard and I worked hard at them. And the seasons always changed for me. And whether, picking up a football or baseball, taking your skates, you didn't skate all year long then. So, fall came. You played hockey or you played football in the fall, hockey in the winter, baseball in the spring. I played lacrosse as well in the spring, and I played basketball all the time. So I was always doing that stuff, but, playing kind of gave me that idea that this is kind of the field I want to get in. But really what solidified it was what you talked about is the teamwork. It's the closest thing to playing, even without playing. And you understand when you come off a great broadcast or a lousy one, it really is all about the game. I can tell you some of the greatest broadcasts we've ever had. We thought, oh man, that was a great one. It wasn't the result for some fans they didn't like the game because their team didn't win, or some of the worst broadcasts because of the game, the way it was and the way it finished, incredible drama or an unpredictable ending or surprise, that was a terrific broadcast. So you really get a sense, the most important thing is telling the story, but the second most important thing is doing it with great teammates. And I've been lucky. I've had so many I've set a record, I'm sure, for analysts and color commentators. And I can tell you, I love them all.
Who are some of your favorite, like Dwayne Ford? What did you like? How did you like working with Dwayne Ford for all those?
Well, he's like a brother to me. He really is. We got thrown in together. I was working with Leif Pettersson before that quite a bit, and Glenn Suter quite a bit. And then we formulated these teams, and I didn't know Dwayne that well. I'd seen him around. I really respected his football knowledge, loved him as a player. He was like the Canadian Herschel Walker in youth sports. And I think he wore the number too. I think he wore 34 for a while. He and Bo Jackson, he was like Bo Jackson too, and I remember, watching him in CFL. And when we got together, it was really instant chemistry for most of us. And he just became such a great friend. We did everything together on the road. I really miss him a lot, from the days. And people ask me that about, I don't miss the day-to-day grind because it was getting grinding after a while. And I don't miss management, but I do miss my teammates. And he was one that I don't see enough of him. Unfortunately, a COVID hit too. So haven't seen him. And we every day we had the same routine. We'd have breakfast, we'd do the game, dinner after, whatever. We traveled a lot. I learned a lot. He's an intelligent guy, so intelligent. Maybe not that intelligent because he had to work with me, but he's a great family guy, and I respected him so much. So yeah, he was one of those guys. I like the rest. I don't have to see him for 10 years, and we'll be right back together to great friends. But I do miss doing the games with him. I thought we had a really nice formula and chemistry together, and we kind of knew what we were going to say. And that's when you got a good partner, is when you know what the other person's going to say.
I was going to ask you one of those questions about chemistry. Sometimes you can have instant chemistry, or sometimes did it take a little bit of time to develop chemistry with who you're working beside?
Yeah, for sure. Sure, Jerry told you that. I'm sure
Yes.
Yeah, it does. But I've always kind of been an announcer that kind of likes to set my teammate up. Throw a pitch down the plate, let them hit it out, and kind of like to listen. And I like to listen to them. I played a lot of sports, but I didn't play at the level that these people played at. Sure, we can have our opinion. We all do, but I have a hard time with people who have never played, having really strong opinions about it. And we, hey, trust me, we all have our opinions on sport and what kind of inside intel we may have. But it sometimes takes a little bit. I don't think it's ever taken a long time, or I've worked with someone I just did not like. That doesn't happen too often. If it's one or two games or events, then you kind of know, and the management will set you apart. But generally, no, I've been really lucky that the chemistry kind of flowed, and you want your partner to shine. It's kind of like, honestly, it's like a marriage. You want your partner. You want to compliment your partner, and you want your partner to compliment you. And sometimes the best thing to do is to let your partner have that spotlight.
Absolutely. And what I've been learning too is the producer is like the quarterback, and as a camera operator, I'm sort of like the wide receiver. So I try to
really good way.
I try to do the best job I can to help.
I'm trying to tell you, people
everybody's.
Yeah, people don't underestimate. They always say, "Oh, the producer, the director, and the cameraman always kind of get shuffled down in the credits." Not that anybody really watches credits, but some of the best camera people I've ever worked with. It's the best TV people I've ever worked with. I just lost a great friend, Jim Young, one of the best cameramen I've said in the world that I've ever worked with. And a lot of my camera friends came from Winnipeg, and I worked with Jimmy a long time, and unfortunately just passed after a long, hard battle with cancer. But this guy was a warrior. He was unreal. And he, camera isn't, everyone goes, oh, just we'll get a cameraman. No, cameramen are artists. Camera people are artists. And they find ways. And they've done it long enough. And it takes a while to learn how to paint being a camera person. Some of the best men and women that I've ever worked with have been behind that lens. And all we do are the soundtrack. We complement what they do. Now, the worst thing that could possibly happen is you miss a play. You miss the ball or the puck or whatever, or that moment. But all of the moments in history that have ever been framed in sports, in news, in events, in weather, what has it come down to? Pictures. You need pictures. And those people I have so much admiration for. Could never have done my job over 40 years without an unbelievable team of camera people.
And I've gone from doing security for 24 years, and now I even have more respect doing the camera work, and I really enjoy doing it. And like you said, it's like painting a picture for the producer, for the crew and stuff like that. And but I have to admit, a couple times in a football game, I got tricked by the offense. So
it's hard. Play action, RPOs, the RPOs, and hey, trust me, it's fooled all of us. And that stuff happens. I can't tell you. I look back. Probably Doug Flutie was the first guy that really started to put. Maybe Tom Clements before him really started to put that into play. That play action. That serious. Some guys are tremendous at it. Serious fakes and. And I go back. The camera people that I've worked with, they know that going into a game. So hey, fool me once, but you won't fool me twice. Right?
Absolutely. Are you okay, Rod, for a few more minutes? Yeah,
questions? I got about another 5 or 6 minutes. Okay. I got to jump on for my Rodcast this week. My guest is Raymond Bourque.
Raymond Bourque. That's a great guest. Yeah. Number 77. Did there originally 7? Number 7 originally.
And we'll talk about that in the podcast, but it was 7. And of course, I don't know how he got 7 in Boston because Phil Esposito had left, but I think there was such an anger from management after making the trade with New York at the time that they said, oh, we're going to give 7 to somebody else. And Ray Bourque ended up getting number 7. And then, of course, when Phil Esposito retired, one of the most famous number 7s. A lot of people wondered, well, what's Ray Bourque going to do? They were going to retire 77. And it's one of the great moments in sports is Ray Bourque came up just before the ceremony and pulled off his number 7 and handed it to Phil Esposito. And on the back, Ray Bourque had 77, which, by the way, a great trivia for your viewers and listeners is that a lot of people wonder, those great numbers, and 99 Wayne Gretzky made famous. And the 77 of Ray Bourque and Paul Coffey and all the high numbers. I can tell you right now, that never would have happened as early. It probably would have eventually, as early as it did happen, without Phil Esposito. And here's how it happened. Hockey at the time generally was always single-digit defensemen. Then, you got into your double digits, but generally the goalie was what back in those days? Number one?
Number 1, yeah. Or
a little number 30 or 31. Ken Dryden kind of changed it. He was, and Mike Palmetier, they were the first 29s. Nice. People went, oh, those are crazy numbers. And I'm really into numbers in sports. So nobody really transcended a goalie's number, got higher than a goalie's number until the Bruins traded Phil Esposito, Rick Middleton, and I want to say Ken Hodge. It was Ken Hodge. And they traded them to, Esposito and Ken Hodge went to the Rangers. They made a big swap. Esposito wore 7 in Boston. Number 7 in New York was, of course, a famous number worn by Rod Gilbert. They would not give Phil 7. So Phil decided to go with 77. Number 8 was Steve Vickers, another famous Ranger. It was used. So Ken Hodge went to 88. So they had all of these double digit. And I remember the day I went, oh my God, it's like football. Look at these guys. I know at that time, there was a young player who was playing in the Toronto area, Seneca Nats and around. and I know his agent very well, Gus Badali and others, and they were looking for a number for this young kid from Brantford and what his number might be. And I know he wore 4 for a while. He wore others. And his favorite player was Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
And I think it was Muzz McPherson or someone like that. And Sue said, well, why don't you become double that and wear 99? And nobody would have allowed that had it not already been in play in the National Hockey League with Esposito 77 and Hodges 88. Wayne Gretzky became 99, and then the lid was blown off, and now everybody wears high numbers.
Even Aaron Judge now wears 99, and he originally didn't want that number.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge and at 99 too. Like, you think about maybe that movie Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn. Mitch Williams wore 99.
99, yeah.
When he gave it up that home run to Joe Carter. There are a few 99s in the game now, but I can tell you, Aaron Judge, with the way he's going, I think he will sign with the Yankees. If not the Yankees, I think he's going to stay with the Yankees. It might be the Giants, but it would be a travesty if he doesn't sign, because I do think Aaron Judge down the road, that number 99 will be on that Legends Row wall and will be retired with the rest. And it will be the highest number that's retired, because every single digit has now been retired by the New York Yankees. And when they retire numbers, they retire numbers. They're retired. But Aaron Judge, for what he did, 62, he's not done yet. After that season for the ages, I can tell you he's the real deal. And he's just not a slugger. He's a ball player, and what a great dude. What a great dude.
Before I let you go, Rod, just quick thoughts on the late Dale Hunter and Boreal Salming, who've passed away. And I guess Gaylord Perry passed away too. But just quick thoughts on Daryl Howardchuck, since you're from Winnipeg.
Gosh, I don't know if I have anything quick.
Okay.
Maybe not just that, because Dale was such a close friend. I got into the business when Dale was a rookie in the National Hockey League. We became kindred spirits. I was an announcer. But we hung together. I did so many charity events. I got to know him I knew him as a great hockey player. I feel it's so sad he never won a Stanley Cup, but that's okay. I think again, I was in Winnipeg at the time, and I watched him, and I did an exit interview between periods. He basically said to me, Blackie, I think I got to make a move out of here now. And the next day, the trade to Buffalo was basically consummated. We became very close, played a lot of golf with him, did a lot of events with him, got to know him better as a person, which was even better than going him as a hockey player, because he was a Hall of Famer. Got to know his kids and his wife, and he's missed. Howardchuck Strong, look that up. That's a tremendous charity that is going to be strong forever. The statue in Winnipeg, I haven't seen it yet personally. Can't wait to go there and pay my respects. Unfortunately happened during COVID as well when he passed. But I got to play one of his last rounds of golf with him, and I thought maybe he'd kind of beaten it, and he didn't. And he's at peace. He was just a great person. Can't say enough. And everybody loved Dale Howardchuck. And similarly, Boreal Salming, what a legend. I didn't get to know him as well. I wasn't covering the Leafs, but I did get to play hockey with him a couple of times on these Legends tours. And he was everything that everybody said. He was such a wonderful person, an absolute stud, even at his age. The guy was like an Adonis. We would not be sitting here talking today about the Europeans in the National Hockey League without Boreal Salming or Inga Hammerstrom, who came in right after the 72 series, started the next season. Harold Ballard, of all people, brought the Euros in, and he just became legendary. He's one of the greatest defensemen who ever played. He's one of the greatest people. The tribute to him was fantastic. I still have chills. And he's going to be so missed. The only saving grace, you never want to see someone pass, but the way it was looking and the way it was going, because I've had several friends pass of this dreadful, insidious, hideous disease. The only way that I have any kind of peace with it is the fact that he probably didn't have to suffer as much, and may have gone quickly, but it's awful. And it's named after Lou Gehrig, who was ironically was the Iron Man, and I would say that Boreal Salming was an Iron Man too, right to the that last tribute and everything, he was legend, the king. They call him the king, and Boris Salming was a king.
Pioneer, that's what I call him. He was a pioneer.
Yeah, for
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Rod, I'm going to let you go, but I'm hoping maybe I can have you on as a guest
Anytime.
again in the future.
I can't wait to get when's my car arriving?
Well, sooner they win the lottery. But,
say hi to the people at Barry Cullen. Barry Cullen Motors. Come down and get your free car.
Yeah, I've had my cars from there for over 20 years, and it's a really great dealership. And I'm working on more sponsors as well. But before I let you go, I know, and I'm going to tune into your podcast. Where can my audience find you on social media? And when is your podcast on normally, and what platforms?
Well, it's on it's on NorthStar Bets and Toronto Star and the Parlay. You can catch me on Twitter at Rod Black TV, at Rod Black TV. Follow me there. And we put them up. We're going to start putting them up more regularly. It's not quite a podcast. It's a rodcast now, not a video, but we're going to get up. We're up on almost all the streams now on Spotify and Apple and all of those. And again, the idea is to tell more stories about some of the greatest names, not only in sports, but entertainment, news, whatever it might be, but to have a great conversation like the conversation we just had over the last half hour. That's what we want to do there. So I encourage everybody to come on. I can't give away a car, but maybe I can, I'll buy you all a coffee. Join me then on the rodcast.
Definitely. And I will definitely subscribe, and I will tune in. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on my 220th episode of Live with CDP Sports Talk. And definitely would like to have you come back on again as a guest and talk about the Toronto Blue Jays back in the 90s with Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar and that.
A lot of great stories. Yeah, you got it. All right. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays to everybody. We'll see you. Let the sports be with you.
Thank you so much, Rod, and we'll tune in a few minutes. Thanks again for coming on.
Cheers.
Cheers. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast today, Season 4, Episode 55 with Rod Black. He is currently a host and brand ambassador for NorthStar Bets, a brand of NorthStar Gaming. You guys can also check out their website at NorthStarBets.ca/responsible gambling again. And if you want to follow Rod on Twitter, you can check him out on Rod Black TV as well. Before guys wrap this podcast show up, I just wanted to give you guys heads up. The Argo Bounce live audio show on Twitter Spaces, the final one for this season, will be at 7:30 tonight with my co-host Nick Small as we break down the Toronto Argonauts Grey Cup Championship and what is ahead for this Argonaut franchise in 2023 on my Twitter page at Chris D. Palme. Tonight at 7:30 on Twitter Spaces. If you'd like to comment on the Argonauts and talk with me and Nick, or just come on and listen, that would be great as well. Before we wrap this up, guys, I'm going to just try to show a little bit more of an old clip of Rod Black from 1986 when he was with the Winnipeg Jets, courtesy of YouTube. Just bear with me and we'll see if we can get this video footage going.
I thought we played pretty good defensively last night, not giving them very many chances, and we capitalized on them, fortunately, last night.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rod Black, and welcome to the NHL playoffs. Last night, the Calgary Flames simply blanketed the Winnipeg Jets top line. The goaltending story was a difference, and also the absence of Randy Carlyle made a big difference. And George Kingston, who's joining us again tonight. Last night, Carlyle wasn't here, and he's not here again tonight. He will not be playing, and Paul McLean will be sitting out as well.
Well, I think it's going to be a very tough night for the Jets, but I think that the key is going to be how their forwards respond.
What about now the team itself? They have to regroup, obviously, and get back to Winnipeg with a split. This team, however, looks like it's ready for golf season.
Well, I thought they did last night, but I think that tonight's a new night, and I expect it's going to be a much better physical game tonight from the forwards particularly.
We look forward to your analysis, George, tonight. Now, with their thoughts on tonight's hockey game, the rest of our playoff team, here is Russ Peake and Doug Smith.
Thanks, Rod. When it comes to playoff hockey, goaltending and special teams play are vital. And Doug Smith, these two teams were miles apart in the specialty units during the regular season.
Well, the Jets are going to have to do something tonight to short circuit that Flames power play. 4th rated in the National Hockey League this season. The Jets' penalty killing was 18th, so there's a big difference right there. The Flames controlled the play last night, scored 1 goal on the power play, and I might see, I think...
Neil mentioned after the opening game last night, when your power play isn't clicking, it seems that your penalty killing isn't working either. So the Jets have got some work to do in those areas.
Someone drinking?
All right, guys, that clip was courtesy of YouTube, and it's just Rod Black when he started out with the Winnipeg Jets back in the 80s as well. Again, I want to say thank you to Rod Black for coming on today. A 30-year career with TSN, CTV, and also was a part of Canada AM at one point as well. And he also called Blue Jays games and Raptors games, and also for a long time with the CFL. Calling games with the late Leaf Pedersen and Dwayne Ford as well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed and I hope you guys enjoyed having Rod come on today, and I'm hoping to have him on again as a guest in the future. And as I do with all my podcast shows, guys, just bear with me. I've got so many graphics on here. Just Live with CDP Sports Talk is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for their newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palma, aka CDP, sent you as well. And also the old pre-electric, or the old pre-electric Silverado and Cadillac Lyric are now available through Barry Cullen as well. So please check them out again. And a special thanks to Mark Cullen for sponsoring this podcast show as well. And before we wrap things up, guys, like I do with all my shows as well, Live with CDP podcast, the audio version is downloaded to iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Stitcher, Tuned In, and now on Podbean. So Live with CDP Sports Talk is now on 14 audio platforms and 3 live stream platforms, such as my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you already haven't, and also on Facebook Live and on Twitter. And I am working on more platforms for my podcast, as well as more sponsors as well. But again, I want to say thank you to everybody for watching this podcast live today or listening to it later on audio as well. And my next podcast show, guys, Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. To be announced, I am working on another podcast or two for next week. I just have to confirm with my guests and a date and a time, and I will let you guys know on my social media pages as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP podcasts. If you guys are going to get into live streaming or podcasting as such as myself, please consider StreamYard. They do a really great job there. And the techs, if you have any issues with StreamYard, which I really have not had a lot of, the techs are really good as well. So StreamYard is, I would recommend. And guys, I'm also on TikTok. If you want to follow me there, I post a lot of video content there at Live with CDP. On TikTok, at Live with CDP on TikTok. And that's about it, guys. We got Thursday night football on tonight. Thursday night football, we got the Buffalo Bills 8-3 against the New England Patriots 6-5. Huge game for both teams. Buffalo wants to stay in first in the AFC East and needs a win, and they haven't beat any AFC East teams this year. They're 0-2, I believe, so far. And the New England Patriots are 6-5, and they're in last place in the East right now. They're on the verge of a playoff spot, but they need this game as well. So this is a huge game for Buffalo and New England. Buffalo's going to be without Von Miller, and we'll see if Josh Allen is feeling better with his elbow and see if he could throw the ball deep. But it should be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's going to be a 24-21 game. I think Buffalo will pull this out 24-21, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout like last year's playoff game that Buffalo won 47-17 as well. And I have a website, guys, also. Check it out, beacons.ai /Chris D. Palme. If you want to check out my website, all my YouTube channels are on there. My social media platforms, all my work is on there. Beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. And again, before I wrap this up, the Argo Bounce live audio show, the last one of the 2022 season, on Twitter Spaces tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with my co-host Nick Small, as we break down the Toronto Argonauts Grey Cup championship season and preview the 2023 season ahead for the Boatmen. And I hope you guys can tune in at Christy Palme on Twitter. And if you want to listen, that's great. If you want to come on and talk to me and Nick, that's great as well. And we'll take questions and try to answer your questions and everything as well. And that's about it, guys. I hope everybody has a great weekend. And go Blue, Michigan Wolverines, Purdue game, Saturday night, 8 o'clock from Lucas Oil Field for the Big Ten Championship. I predict Michigan to win over Purdue, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Purdue's going to keep that game close. And then Go Birds, the Philadelphia Eagles, Sunday at 1 o'clock at home at the Lincoln Financial Field, take on Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Mike Vrabel, and those Tennessee Titans. And I think that's going to be another tough game for the Eagles against the Titans as well. And for some of you, I will be off to Buffalo, New York, Saturday to see the Buffalo Bandits home opener against the Albany Fire Wolves in National Lacrosse League action. The game will be on the radio in Buffalo, I think either on 1530 or 550 WGR. And I'm really looking forward to that game. And please check out my social media pages this weekend. I will post pictures, some videos, and I'm hoping to do 1 or 2 interviews after the Bandits game against the Albany Firewolves. Anybody's interested in going to a Bandits game, check it out. The fans are noisy, they're engaged. It's a great atmosphere. Their public address announcer, Chris Swanson's been doing it for 30 years. Chris has been on my podcast show. So check out bandits.com if you ever want to go to a Bandits game. You get your tickets through Bandits through bandits.com through Ticketmaster. And the arena is only 5 to 7 minutes from the Peace Bridge. It's just right off the 190, exit 6, and it's right beside the Cheerios plant in downtown Buffalo and 2 minutes from where the Bisons play. So looking forward to the Buffalo Bandits Albany Firewolves game this Saturday night at 7:30. And again, I want to say thank you to Rod Black for coming on today and talking for about 45 minutes. And thank you to everybody for listening to Live with CDP podcast and supporting my show over the past year. My audience has gone up quite a bit, and Live with CDP Sports Talk is now listened to in 20 countries across the world on my audio platforms as well. So I'm very fortunate to get great guests and have a lot of people support my show. And again, thank you to my sponsor, Barry Collins Chevrolet, for sponsoring me as well. I hope everybody has a great night, enjoys the Bills-Patriots game, and enjoys college football games on the weekend and the NFL, of course, on Sundays as well. As soon as I confirm with my guest about my next show, I will let you guys know on all my social media platforms as well. So that's about it. Again, thank you to Rod Black for coming on today, and we'll talk to you guys very soon on my social media pages, and look forward to starting season 5, episode 1 of Live with CDP podcast next week, which will be my 221st episode coming next week. But season 5 will be next week at some point. So, all right, guys, have a great night, great weekend. And again, thanks for listening and watching Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Collins Chevrolet. Good night, everybody.